I'd love to hear your thoughts on now as, the years go by and we're getting older, not necessarily aging. I'm using the term older on purpose. Um, because, you did model like I did. You you obviously made a living and supported yourself and your daughter over your looks and your body. Now that you see the changes, because I'm starting to see changes in me happening, and sometimes I struggle with the messages from culture, and I see I heard about it happening, and now it's happening. Like my body is changing. Like certain clothes don't look the way they used to, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be wearing this anymore. And oh God, this is happening. And I find this little thing going on in my head of like, not, and I'm just so grateful with the holistic work that I do and have done. I know, and I know I was always born to be in the spiritual. I mean, that's just always been my path. So thank God I know there's more than just a physical body. At least I have that going for me. But I still live in the modern culture. And I would love to know how you come to terms with that, the seeing these changes in your physical container, and how you stay so centered and okay and self-confident and all that stuff, regardless.
Well, I'm human too. I have those moments. I'm like, all right, Marceline out. Let's train harder. But there is something so true about the middle age spread. And there's two directions I want to go with this. And the first one was this incredible book I read. In holistic lifestyle coaching, we're taught about the female fat cell and how it differs greatly. And there's a book by Deborah Waterhouse that's called Outsmarting the Female Fat Cell. When I wanted to buy that, I noticed that it was, $28 on Amazon, and that she had one called Outsmarting the Midlife Fat Cell for women 35 and over. And I'm like, oh, that one's $7. I'm going to buy it. I'm 35 years old. And I'm so grateful I did, because in that I learned that as a woman crests into perimenopause, every year her ovaries are going to make a little less estrogen. And every year her body is designed to put on about a half a pound of fat, because that's the other place where we're going to make estrogen to carry us over our transition into menopause. And the goal is to not lose the pound of muscle that they also will lose if they don't maintain their strength training. And so as I started to see that little bit of shake in my thighs and on my love handles, I'm like, you see that? That's my body's wisdom. That's me not having a difficult menopause, because I'm not going to fret over that like I might if I didn't have this knowledge that most women in basic like European countries that haven't westernized too much and that aren't afraid of cheese and the fats, and they allow themselves to get curvy during those age, they don't have all the hot flashes and the issues that we tend to experience here in America. And so that's one really big piece for me, is knowing that this isn't my 20 or my 30-year-old body. And how can I love it as my 40 and 50-year-old body? Like, how can I appreciate that that's there? And strength training, I can't tell you how vital that is for my well-being and not losing that pound of muscle. I'm okay with gaining the fat as long as my muscles there still strong. And that comes into the other piece I wanted to talk about, is that we have these phases of feminine. We go from the child to the maiden to the mother, and then it's technically supposed to be the crone, right? When we hit the old age, but we've kind of missed a step from mother to crone. Like, my daughter's 18.
I can't believe you're saying this. This is exactly how I feel. This is unbelievable. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm like freaking out right now. I've never heard anyone else say this, and I was going to say this. I can't even believe it. I felt like
Yay.
There's two of us.
I'm not a crone, and I host a women's circle here. I have for 6 years, and we talk about the Empress. So in between that mother and the crone is the Empress.
I cannot believe you're saying this. I call her the warrior.
Ooh, I like it. And I wouldn't trade my maiden for my warrior, because woo, a little bit of love handles for the self-knowledge and confidence and boundaries and understanding. Like, I have so much appreciation for what the mother went through and the maiden went through, that I'm willing to wear the saggier skin on my thighs
The
and the
battle
wrinkles.
scars.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the other pieces, this culture just, the maiden is what a lot of our marketing puts out. Like, but the truth is that we used to have rituals for the transitions. We have baby showers
Yes.
to welcome the baby, but whoever celebrates that transition from being this free and wild maiden into the mother, like being able to mourn the woman who had all the time to sit in a coffee shop and read a book is now up all night taking care of diapers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the concept of an empty nester. What if we started ceremonially graduating to these levels, making markers within our life where we no longer like just transition and go, now what? But we go, oh, I've closed this chapter and I'm opening this one. And yeah, that definitely, you lose a lot of sacred selfishness in the motherhood chapter.
I just love everything you said, because it's a huge part of my work too, is that we've lost the rituals. We've lost the initiation periods, as you said. I mean, getting your first period was huge for women back in the day. And that was your first initiation. And then, of course, menopause is another huge transitional initiation period. We used to have red tents where women would go during their moon time and their bleed time and be together and commune with the earth and cleanse the tribal energy through the blood. The blood was the life force. And this was all stuff that was sacred. It was practiced. It was, for lack of a better term, a badge of honor. The men had their initiation practices, but the women had them. And the women taught the women. I don't like the word crone. I like to say wise woman would teach the younger women. And this is how they were revered, because they were the wise women. They were the wisdom keepers. And this is
Right.
that's how they initiated the new one. So all that, I'm so glad you're mentioning this. And I still am freaking out that you have the fourth stage. As I've always said, where is this key stage between motherhood and wise woman that we have just missed? And I think my theory, would you like to know? My theory is, I think it's because the patriarchal culture has been afraid of it. You don't want a woman that's, because they can dismiss the quote unquote crone. She's just, just be a cute granny and go over there and knit your sweater and give the kids Christmas gifts and look cute. I mean, but the woman in her power that's gone through the battle scars of motherhood and creating life, and like you said, being selfless and being up all night with diapers, but has the battle scars to prove it. That's a woman you don't want to empower necessarily. Can't
That's the
control her.
woman you want in power. That's the one that's going to really run things in a way that's fair and aligned for all. And yeah,
You would think, yeah. Well, you have to be confident in yourself to allow that, right? I mean, so keeping your thumb on a woman like that is a sign of insecurity. I know I was in relationships with men like that.
and if
But
we revered and put those women in place, the things that are happening to the earth and in corporations would not be happening.
right on, and that's what's happening now, is the awakening of the matriarchy to come back and restore balance, because they're both important, they're both beautiful, they're both necessary, but they're supposed to be cooperative.
Yep.
They're supposed to exist together, not one over the other as a hierarchy. They're shoulder to shoulder with respect and love and reverence for the other.